This is our first lecture, and today we are going to answer one simple but important question, that what is SAP? By the end of this video, you will understand what ERP means, how SAP started, and why the biggest companies in the world use it every single day. So let's get started. So before we begin, let me quickly tell you what we will cover in this lecture. First, we will all understand what SAP actually is. Then we will talk about ERP in simple words. After that, we will look into at the difference between centralized and decentralized systems. This is actually very important concept. Then we will go through SAP history and actually how it started and how it grew. And finally, at the end, we all will look at where SAP is used and the different modules and product of SAP offers. Let's start from the beginning. So what is SAP? So SAP is basically stands for Systems, Applications and Products in Data Processing. That's a long name, so don't worry about memorizing it word by word. What matters in this SAP? SAP is an ERP software. It's a system that helps a company run its entire business from one place instead of using separate tools for every department. Let me explain further in details. So when we will go to ERP, then we will see it in depth. So for here, SAP stands for Systems, Application and Products, and it's basically a ERP and a single standalone software that is used to manage whole organization, all its department. So this is the very core concept, that what is ERP. It's the basically foundation. ERP stand for Enterprise Resource Planning System, a single software that is designed to run the day-to-day operations of every department inside an organization under one roof. What is meant by one roof? Actually, uh, in a simple manner, when there are multiple departments in an organization, like sales, marketing, purchasing, production planning, finance, human resource, and other departments as well, they actually use separate software for their processes. Like sales is using different software like mobile application, web development, and purchasing departments is using their own applications. Production planning is using their own applications, and technically they have different systems, different databases. So when they need to share the data with each other, every time they need an integration. Every time, like if they want to share data from purchasing to production planning, for this simple process they need an integration. This is a very long process. Resource are used in everything. So what ERP does? ERP basically give us a single database operation software. Like all the departments are working on a single database. So the front end is same, back end is same. So no need of internal integration. So whenever we need to share data other than SAP or outside the SAP, then we need integration. Otherwise, for all department inside an organization are integrated already with each other in the ERP. That is actually an ERP. Nearly every company, regardless of size or industry, every organization into functional department that ERP is built to connect. Especially the department that are actually need to be connected are sales, marketing, purchasing, production planning, finance, human resource, quality assurance, plant maintenance, and there are a lot of modules also. So the next thing is that why we connected system. Running separate departments smoothly with consistent data flowing between them requires more than good intentions. It requires software purpose built for the job actually for every department. That's the gap. Like as I said in the last slide, that if all departments will use their own softwares, their own databases, then every time when they need to share the data with each other, they need integrations. They need a special platforms. They need every time a special testing. So the cost is using, resources are using. So it's very difficult to maintain separate systems for each department. So that's why, in simple terms, enterprise resource planning is the integrated management of a company's core business processes in real time from one source of truth. So we can say it's a single software that is actually used to manage the whole organization. So basically, data architecture for the ERP is like in two forms, two approaches, we can say. Before ERP becomes standard, business software generally fell into one of two modules: decentralized and centralized. So what is decentralized? Decentralized is old technique. Each department runs its own software with its own local database. Other teams can't see that data. But centralized is that all departments shared one common ERP system with data stored in a single unified location. So when data is already available in a single source for all departments, then they don't need actually integration. They can access any department's data very easily. So this is the actual, you can say, the approach of ERP. So we will go through further the decentralization system as per the centralized system. As a common scenario, a salesperson logs a customer order in sales system, and after that the purchasing officer has no visibility into that order, that there is no shared database to check that how many orders came into the company in sales organization, sales department. Other than this, the communication gap widens. Definitely it can widen. The order processing slows down because purchasing learns about it late. So when first sales organization or sales company or sales department will let the know to the purchasing department, so it will be a long gap of time. So the root cause: isolated database means isolated departments. No one has real-time visibility outside their own system. So basically, this was the main issue that we go through the centralized system. Now you might ask, why do we even need one connected system? At the end of this whole discussion, why can't every department just use their own software? Here's the thing: running a business smoothly with accurate information flowing between departments is not easy. It needs software that is specially built for this purpose, and that is exactly the gap that ERP fills. So in simple terms, remember this line: enterprise resource planning is the integrated management of companies' core business processes in real time from one single source of truth. Let's understand this better with an example. Before ERP became common, business uses software in two different ways, as I told already. I'm just explaining it: decentralized system and centralized system. So in decentralized, as I said, every department is using its own software. And in centralized, what happened? That all the department started using a common ERP system, and all the data is stored in a single shared place. So what was in the action in decentralized? In this situation, imagine in that situation, a salesperson gets an order. I'm just explaining this example again. A salesperson gets an order from a customer and enters it into the sales system. Now, the purchasing officers need to know about this order too, so they can arrange the material, but because there is no shared database in the purchasing officer has no idea this order even exists in the sales department. As a result, there is a communication gap. Nobody finds out about the order on time and the whole process becomes slow. So what's the real problem here? The root cause is simple. When every department has its own isolated database, no one has real-time visibility outside their own system. So this is the main thing I actually repeated to teach you. So what are the drawbacks of centralized system? It's an actually repeating thing. So let's quickly go through the main problem with decentralized system. The number one, there is no real-time information. Data stays stuck in one department. Number two, product delivery becomes slower because information has to pass manually from one team to another. And number three, decision making becomes slower too because managers don't have full visibility. Because decision making is all depends upon the management. So the management is also getting the information late. So that's why the decision making also will become late. Number four, there is weaker control because leadership cannot monitor daily operations properly. So that's why there is weaker controls. They cannot control anything. And the number five, the overall cost become higher because every department is buying and maintaining its own separate software. So the main thing is that company's cost is very high, will become very, very high. And what are the benefits in centralized system in the ERP model? Now let's flip this around and look at the centralized system, which is exactly how ERP and SAP works. In a centralized model, every department, production, inventory, service, finance, HR, sales, and purchasing, all work from the same system. All the data lives in one place. So the moment one department enters information, every other department can see it immediately and act on it the right way. So what is the main benefit? That all the information is shared in all departments. Every department can see the data. So when we go to the advantages exactly of centralized system, this gives us a several big advantage. So first one is real-time data visibility. Every department sees the same up-to-date information. And the second one, efficient communication with no waiting for manual updates. Third, faster decision making because managers work with the live data, no outdated reports. And the fourth one, stronger supervision and control since leadership can monitor operation as they happen. And the fifth one, easier planning and execution because every team stays aligned on the same information. So it's clear between the advantages and the disadvantages of centralized and decentralized system. And let's go to how SAP began. So now let's talk a bit about history and how SAP actually started. SAP was founded in Germany actually in the year 1972 by three or five in the history we actually runs. Maybe three or five former IBM employers, and their goal was simple to build a standard software that could process business transactions actually in real time. In 1980, they released their first product called SAP R2, basically a two-tier architecture. Here is the R stand for real time and the 2 stand for two-tier architecture. In this two-tier setup, every user's computers connect directly to one central database server. This worked fine for smaller teams, but as more users joined, the system started to slow down. So if graphically I say that there was one database layer and there was one UI, user interface, you can say. One is the user and directly connected to the database. So it was feasible when there were less users, but as the users began, users started increasing. At that time, system was gone slower. So that was the main issue at that time in R2. And later on, in 1990s, they were moved to R3 architecture, basically three-tier architecture, we can say. There were three layers. One was user interface, client tier, you can say, and the second was application layer, and the third was database layer. So what was the purpose of this R3 architecture? To solve that performance problem. SAP come up with a new solution in 1990 that was called R3. Again, R stand for real time and the 3 stand for the three-tier architecture. In this model, a new middle layer was added. That was the application server, or we can say application layer. Actually, this layer handled all the business logic separately from client and the database. Actually, what application layer what does? Actually, this get the like request from the user interface and send that request to the database. So when there were multiple users, they were sending multiple requests. The application layer just that process this, that how to handle these actually all the requests that are coming from the user. So because of this, companies could not use multiple application servers together, sharing the workload. This means that even with a huge number of users, the system performance stayed smooth and stable. So application layer was is actually doing this all. So it's maintaining all the requests coming from the front end. So industries which are actually powered by the SAP and SAP is taking over them, like SAP is used across more than 28 different industries worldwide. This includes manufacturing, pharmaceutical, automotive, real estate, oil and gas, telecommunication, aerospace, healthcare, FMCG, and many more. So basically, no matter what kind of business you are in, there is a very good chance SAP can support it. Now, the very important thing that SAP versus other ERP platforms. Of course, SAP is not the only ERP software available. There are other options too, like JD Edwards. Oracle is a very famous software, Bound, PeopleSoft, and the Microsoft Dynamics. Many small companies are using this. These are very well-known softwares. But even with all this competition, SAP hold the largest market share among all the leading ERP platforms in the world. That's a big reason why learning SAP is such a valuable skill today. So everyone should learn this and will gain too much in the life inshallah. Uh, why actually business or companies choose SAP? And the very important question that why exactly do businesses prefer SAP over other options? Let me give you a few solid reasons. The first one is SAP scales easily, like it works for businesses of any size. It's industry ready, meaning it fits most sector without needing heavy customization. So it follows best practice processes based on proven industry standards. SAP keep innovating, like with regular new releases, implementation usually faster compared to many competing ERPs. So implementation is very important point that whenever the company is going to start a new software like SAP or any other software, so it depends that how much time it will take. So SAP is basically is very faster in like compared to the other ERPs or non-SAP system. So it has global support available almost everywhere. And finally, it offers excellent integration across all its modules. And like finance, sales, purchasing, and production all stay perfectly in Synic mode. Now, let's discuss about some SAP modules and functional and technicals. Basically, SAP has two different types of modules. One is functional and one is technical. So, because this is especially useful if you are thinking about a career in SAP. SAP is broadly divided into two areas, as I said, functional modules and the technical modules. On the functional side, we have a module like FICO, finance and accounting, sales and distribution, material management, production planning, warehouse management, human resource. But on the technical side, we mainly have ABAP, which stands for Advanced Business Application Programming Language, and SAP's core programming language actually, and BASIS, which deal with the hardware, networking, and the system security actually. So our first course also should be ABAP. We will be learning ABAP further. So what we learned here, that two type of modules FCP has, functional and technicals. Functionals are related to FICO, STN like this, and the technicals are only to ABAP and basis. Next is basically SAP's popular products that SAP has given recently or in the start. So let's quickly go through some popular SAP products. So you know the name when you hear them, like SAP S4HANA is a modern in-memory ERP suite, SAP ERP, so-called ECC, the earlier generation core system, and SAP CRM for customer relationship, and SAP C4C for actually for cloud-based customer management, C4C, and SAP SCM for supply chain, actually supply chain management. So, and the one is business by design, basically cloud ERP built for small and middle-sized businesses, and SAP Business One that is designed for the smaller scale operations. We can study like every this product separately from internet or anywhere, so we don't need to go in the depth here. So that's a very important and closing point that bring us to the end of this lecture. Let's quickly recap. We learned actually what SAP is, what ERP means, the difference between centralized and decentralized system, a bit of SAP history, and where SAP is used in the real world actually. And that's the SAP in nutshell. In our next lecture, we will take a closer look inside the SAP system itself. If you found this helpful, then please subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the next video.